Okay, so hate's quite a strong word, but realistically, 5 things that I don't like very much about Gran Turismo probably isn't going to do that well on the YouTube algorithm. And I also have released 5 things that I love about Gran Turismo 7, which I released a couple of days before this video. So if you're seeing this one alone, that's more reflection on YouTube's algorithm than on me. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing that I hate about Gran Turismo 7 is the collision system. It's just so basic. It literally feels like it's still stuck in the PS2 days. You just fly into a wall and it slows you down a bit, sure, but you never spin. It's just sort of a really dull impact. If you hit another car, an AI or an online player, similar, you can just sort of push them out the way, and it's just a really basic collision system, which is such a shame, because other than that, the physics system is actually really good in the game, and I really enjoy it, but the collisions really do kill it, especially when you're in a race with a really tightly packed bunch, because you can just fly up the inside and just push them out the way. No real punishment for you. Push people wide. I don't know. It just needs a lot of work. Damage system isn't enabled in most of the career mode of the game, although the damage system does exist within the game. Enabling that would help, because it would stop you just fully sending it. But, you know, if you fully send up the inside of somebody, they're probably going to spin across you. You're going to end up T-boning them. And there's more to it than just damage. It's also the movement of the cars. Just, I don't know. Isn't very good, and honestly, it's probably the most disappointing bit about Gran Turismo 7. They just haven't really spent any time or effort on making the collision system realistic. But to be honest, that goes along the same theme of Forza Horizon 5. Very similar in that game. The collision system is really similar. All the cars are just solid objects. So maybe it's just a trend with these sort of more mainstream games that people don't want collision systems. I don't know. Personally, give me more realistic collision system. The second thing that I hate about Gran Turismo is the AI. They're really not very good. I mean, where do we start? First of all, they're really slow. I'm genuinely, with the same equipment, the exact same car as them, I'll be a couple of seconds a lap, easily. 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds per lap quicker than them. If you're in the same car, they're really no competition. There's only 3 AI levels. There's, I think it's beginner, intermediate, and expert, or something along those lines. I'm on the top level, and they're just really slow. They don't put up any real challenge. In order to have a challenge, you need to be in a much worse car, which just isn't all that fun, really. To add to that, their racing line, probably part of the reason they're so slow, is absolutely abysmal. Genuinely, sometimes you'll be trying to race them and thinking, oh, okay, they're going to run out wide, so I'll cut back across them. They're just in the middle of the track. You think, oh, I can't go up the inside there because I'm not quite alongside them. They just don't bother with an apex. They're just really bad. They're really hard to predict because the racing line is so damn bad. In addition to that, their racecraft is almost non-existent. They don't really defend. They'll move over very slightly when you're coming up to them, but beyond that, they don't really defend. They're just really bad, actually. The AI, it's honestly some of the worst AI I've seen in a modern F1 game. Now, I will say, I've heard a few people say to me that they perhaps got a new AI system coming to the game called Sophie, which apparently are just as quick, if not quicker, than the top esports guys on Gran Turismo. So obviously, if that's coming into the game, then sign me up. And if that is the case, I'd love to see a sliding bar where we can fully customize that. I wouldn't like just have a 4th level and it's just impossible AI, because I'm then still stuck in the same situation, getting absolutely spanked by the AI or absolutely dominated the AI. So yeah, just need a lot of work. I wouldn't say it kills the game, because there's so many cars. You just, if it recommends 500 performance points, I just go to a car that's 450 performance points. That kind of works. But yeah, quite disappointed AI, particularly for an offline focused game where you're racing the AI most of the time. The third thing that I hate about Gran Turismo 7 is that you can't sell anything. Quite a weird omission from the game. So if you buy a car, you can't sell it. If you get given a car that you've already got, so you've now got 2 of the same car, you can't sell it. You also can't sell any upgrades you buy. So recently I decided to enter GT Sport online in Gran Turismo 7 and decided to upgrade one of my cars. I can't remember which car it was now, but I spent about 100,000 credits upgrading it. And thought, oh, it's fine, I'll just be able to sell it afterwards if I decide to not continue on with this race. And just couldn't sell them. And for example, as well, there's multiple upgrades. So you can buy, I don't know, suspension, say. There's like sports suspension, race suspension, fully customizable suspension, I think. And if you buy all 3 of those, you're obviously never going to use the first tier. I guess you could in the future, but you're unlikely to. You just can't sell it. You've got to keep them forever. So I don't know if this is the sort of thing they'll perhaps add with a patch, but not being able to sell things is very weird, especially in a game that's all about cars. I mean, surely people would want to sell perhaps a car they've been given for another car that they actually want. I don't know, it's just a bit of a weird thing that's missing from Gran Turismo 7 for me. The 4th thing I hate about Gran Turismo is actually the visuals in the wet weather driving. Now, Generally, obviously, Gran Turismo 7 is an unbelievably beautiful game. In fact, the general prettiness of the game actually made it into 5 things I love about Gran Turismo. Yeah, I mean, for some reason, it's really basic in the radar. I don't know if perhaps because they had to make it for PS4 as well, they've had to dumb down what it looks like, but you just literally get dots on your windscreen that counts as rain. It doesn't look like droplets, doesn't run down your windscreen, nothing like that. The windscreen does wipe the way, and then also the track just doesn't look wet. You jump on a track and you're like, is this track wet? Sometimes if it's very wet, you get puddles, and the puddles look great. And I love the dynamic racing line in the wet because actually the dry line becomes the slowest line in the wet, just like real life. It needs to be off the line, so it's a bit more rougher tarmac, rougher asphalt that you can use. But the visuals are just so bad. Off-board, they're okay. When you watch the replay cam stuff, you can see the wet a bit more. But yeah, on-board, just really, you can honestly barely tell that it's wet. You can barely see a dry racing line once it starts to dry up either. So yeah, but a bit of a weird one considering it's generally a game that looks so incredible. But definitely the visuals, the wet weather visuals are something like to see improved quite a bit, especially on PS5 at the very least. Because at the moment it's really letting the side down in terms of visuals. Little bonus side point of something else that I hate about Gran Turismo is the multiplayer. I was going to squeeze it into here, but it didn't end up being in my top 5. The multiplayer, yeah, it's a bit rubbish, but then it's a single player focused game, which is why I decided to remove it from this official top 5 list. Yeah, multiplayer, a bit basic. The open lobby system is a bit rubbish. It's too complicated. And the GT Sports system, you need to use your own car, which you have to buy with your own money. It's just a bit, I don't know. Multiplayer, not very good in my opinion in Gran Turismo 7. And the 5th and final thing that I hate about Gran Turismo 7 is the unskippable intro. Now, you only have to watch this once at the start of the game, but obviously the start of the game is really important. You know, first impressions matter and all that kind of thing. And if you just spent £70 on a game, and especially like I did, it's launch day, you're really excited, oh great, let's get out on track and all this other stuff. I mean, there's the music rally thing you can do, which is kind of good fun. Then you actually want to get into the game, it goes, okay, here we go, let's go. Here's an intro clip that's genuinely, it's almost 10 minutes long. I actually don't know the exact time. I think it's 8 minutes long. Unskippable intro. Who wants to start a game with an 8 or 10 minute long intro that you can't skip? It's quite boring. Like, it shows you some history of the cars, and actually I love that aspect of the game. You know, it tells you the history of all the cars, but not as an unskippable 8 minute intro just before I even are able to play the game. People want to start, they bought a game that they want to play and drive. They don't want to watch a video. If they did want us to do that, they go to YouTube. Even YouTube has skippable ads, let alone an 8 minute intro. So, I don't know, bit of a weird decision for me because it's the start of the game. As I said, after you've watched it once, you can then skip it the following time. So, it's not a huge deal once you watched it once, but, you know, first impressions matter. And for me, I was just sat there bored, like, why? And I think that'll be the case for a lot of people, and I'm sure some people will not even get past that intro screen. Certainly some more the casual fans. So yeah, bit of a weird choice. Just make it skippable. That's what you've got to do. So there we go then, guys. That was my 5 things that I hate about Gran Turismo 7. As I said at the start, hate's a bit of a strong word. Probably just dislike or would rather has improved of Gran Turismo 7. But, you know, let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, if there's any other things that particularly stand out to you that are really, you know, could do with some improvement or you hate about Gran Turismo 7. As I said as well, I've got 5 things that I love about Gran Turismo 7, which was released just for this video. So do go and give that one a watch as well. And other than that, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.